Hi, my name is Cody. I'm the animal care specialist at Brookfield Zoo, and today we're going to talk about the Andean Condors. Andean Condors are from South America. They live on the eastern part of South America near the Andes Mountains, all the way from Argentina, down to Argentina, all the way up to Bolivia, Colombia. And this is our male Andean Condor. This guy, we do have a name for him. His name is Dino. He's our male. Males are pretty neat because all males have the little wattle on top of their head. They're bigger. And if you notice, he has no feathers on his head. That's the reason. The reason being is he's a scavenger. He eats carrion. And currently he's walking around looking for food that I placed in the exhibit. They have an amazing sense of smell. And so he can smell it, but he still can't find it. And this is a way to keep him interested, and it's called enrichment, and it's a way to keep him busy. It's what he would do in the wild. He would have to look for his food. So we kind of scattered around the exhibit, so he's busy looking the rest of the day. If you notice, he's got a patch on his stomach or on his chest. That patch is kind of a sign. It helps us realize when he's ready to breed, if he's interested in females. And we do have a female in here, and you can tell her from the male because she has bright red eyes, and she doesn't have a wattle on top of her beak. And if you look at his wings, they have a 10-foot wingspan. So it's not the largest, but it's pretty big. And during the summer or during the winter, when it's cold and you come and see him, sometimes you'll actually see his wings spread out real far. And that's the way that they warm up in the wild. Currently, because it is so warm today, in the last couple of days, the one thing you'll notice is sometimes their legs are kind of whitish. Well, the reason it's whitish is because condors, vultures, all defecate on their legs to cool down. So it's not unusual for them to basically urinate on their legs, and it helps cool their body down. These guys live in places where it can be cold or hot, so they have to have a couple of ways to warm and stay cool. Our pair is a breeding pair, and this species is considered threatened in the wild. The reason they're threatened is because of habitat loss and also called secondary poisoning. In the wild, all along the South American area, there may be farmers who have cattle or llamas, and what they'll do is they will, to try to neutralize certain predators, they'll poison the animal. There may be a llama or something, and unfortunately these guys will eat it because they eat carrion, dead animals. And they eat all kinds of stuff. They're not very specific. They eat fish, they'll eat llamas, they'll eat sheep, dogs, cattle. It is kind of interesting though, because there is a hierarchy. Adult males eat first, which Dino in our case would be the first one to eat. Females would eat second, and then all the rest of the juveniles will eat last. And what's real interesting is if you ever see these guys in Peru or Chile, they all roost together, and where they perch means how dominant they are. So adult males perch higher, where females may perch a little lower. And so even though they don't seem like they're a group bird sometimes, they actually will in the wild live in large groups, but they disperse very easily. Our pair is a breeding pair, and the one thing that they will lay 2 eggs. The eggs are white, and they have a very long, what we call an incubation period. It takes about 52 days. And when the chick hatches, they'll care for that chick for about 2 years. These guys, and so what that means is they're very long-lived. They can live into their 70s, around 50 years old, 70, and they can breed into their 50s. And so what they'll do is they'll breed with and they care for their chicks for 2 years, so they don't reproduce very quick. And they're very closely related to a species that you may have heard called the California condor. And so the California condor was extinct in the wild for a long time. The population is very small. And so for a long time, they used to use Andean condors as surrogate parents. And when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife decided to release California condors into the wild, they actually used 3 female Andean condors because they didn't want them to reproduce and become an invasive species. And they let them out in the California area, and they lived out in the California area for about 3 months just to see how everything worked and if they would do okay. They ended up transferring them back into the females into a breeding facility, and then that's when they decided to start releasing California condors. A lot of the stuff that we know about condors is from the breeding programs that we've learned through Andean condors.
So can you remind us what 2 birds you have here?
We have a male and a female. Our male is Dino, and he's the male with the wattle on his head. He's a little bigger. Our female, Maria, actually likes to hang up high in the tree, and she usually only comes down later in the day. And so she'll, in their interactions, they're very brief right now because it's not the breeding season. Right now they're kind of companions. In about April, we'll start seeing breeding behavior, and the male gets super territorial, and then they may hopefully copulate next year. We'll have eggs and maybe potentially chicks, but it's a very long process. So, and they would care for the chicks for about 2 years.
You want to talk a little bit about how his skin changes color?
Yeah, you can tell a lot by what the condor is feeling. If they're wanting to copulate, maybe they're getting angry, maybe they want you out of your territory, by the way their skin changes. The male's chest will get super puffed and it becomes almost bright white. Currently, he's been trying to get the attention of the female, and he's kind of in her eye of sight right now, so that's the reason why it's a little bit whiter. But because it's not breeding season, he's not trying as hard as he usually does.
What are their favorite things to eat?
So here at the zoo, some of their favorite things is he actually really likes little mice as a treat, but we'll also feed rabbits, we'll feed guinea pigs, rats. They are whole prey, so they love to eat whole prey. And they're very particular. They like to eat things a certain way, looking for the most nutritious parts first. And they pretty much eat they'll eat almost every bit of it. And they just leave us the skin.
How old are they?
So they're both about 30 years old. Dino is 32, Maria is 33. They were hatched in human care. Dino's only been here for a couple of years. Maria's been here for several years.
I know it's kind of impossible to tell right now. You want to talk a little bit about their nose, their nostrils?
Their nares?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
You knew what I meant.
Nares, yeah. So these guys' nares are on the top of their beak. His is right in the bottom. You can kind of see it. It's right at the lower end of that wattle. And it's kind of interesting. It opens up into a cavity where they can breathe, so you can actually see right through it. That's pretty common. They have an amazing sense of smell. And so they have big nares, so they can smell any kind of decaying flesh or anything to find their food. These guys are super hardy too, because they eat a lot of deceased animals. They're really able to handle a lot of they don't ever really have a lot of health issues. They live very long, and a lot to do with just they eat a lot of deceased animals in the wild. Here we give them stuff that's been frozen and then thawed for them to eat. And in the past we've tried larger stuff, maybe like certain larger stock animals, and they've never really liked it as much as they've really liked guinea pigs and rabbits and rats.
Where can people find them at Brookfield Zoo?
So they're located behind Feathers and Scales, right across from the Living Coast in the big aviary. So thank you very much for letting me talk to you about our Andean Condors. If you you can visit our website, and also thank you very much.